So my name is Zoser. I'm the live ops lead. You guys probably have seen me around the arena. I'm a hardcore Origins player, and I am lucky to kind of have some consultation regarding balancing because I play so much, which is really cool. So I'll be acting as kind of the host for this a little bit as needed, and the Q&A at the end. Obviously, with me, you guys know very familiar faces, but for those of you who are your first time, we've got Jihos, POS2, Jatster, and Hale. I'll let them introduce themselves right now.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jiho. I'm a co-founder of Sky Mavis. We're the inventors of Axie and Ronin. Yeah, I've been playing Origins as well. I have strong opinions about it, like many of you guys do as well. And I'm always sharing my feedback with the team. And I'm cautiously optimistic about some of the adjustments and new stuff that we're going to be announcing today.
Hey guys, I'm POS2. I'm project manager for Sky Mavis. And I've been playing Origins since internal alpha. So yeah, Gio and we've been giving feedback to the team internally.
Everyone, my name's Hale, and I'm the community game design analyst for Origins. I work closely with game design, and you find me often on Twitter, but I'm also pretty active on Discord, so you always funnel your stuff through me, and it finds its way.
Oh, hey everyone, I'm Jasper. You've probably seen me around a lot on Discord and Twitter. For the past year, I've been also working with Hale on the game design stuff and recently, like, a lot of new exciting stuff. So yeah, excited to kick this round off with you guys.
Awesome. So just a few things before we kind of get underway with all the leaks, if you will. One is on the Axie stage. You guys will notice there's a little chat symbol. Make sure you press that if you want to join in on all the chat shenanigans happening in real time and hang out. The second thing is, depending on your Discord, as we just said, you got to look for the hashtag view only chat. For some of you, it's going to be under the Axie stage or right near it. For some of you, might have to scroll way up. But you're definitely going to want to chime into that view only chat because we're going to, in real time, be posting the relevant information for visuals so you guys can visually follow what we're talking about and see the changes. The third thing is we're definitely going to have Q&A at the end, so make sure you guys are gathering questions along the way and be ready to raise your hand at the end. And then the final thing is at the very end of all this, we're going to share a bunch of stuff public on Twitter, on you name it, and we're going to publish this on YouTube in the next 24 to 48 hours as well to have this whole town hall be recorded and posted there in case you guys miss it. So we're going to start off with Gio's giving us a whole bunch of info about starter Axies, and we're just going to go from there. So kick us off, Gio.
Okay, awesome. All right, so Jatster, I guess you will be posting the slides, and then I'll be speaking about the slides. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I'll put it on view only chat. As it gets announced, new stuff, I'll be putting slides.
Okay, awesome. So everybody go to the view only chat because that's how it's going to make sense about what I'm talking about.
All right, I'm firing off the first thing.
All right, cool. All right, so one of the things that we're introducing with the next season is brand new starter Axies. So one of the things that has been suboptimal, not good, about Origins is that, right, you start playing with Oleg, Bubba, and Puffy, but they're not synergistic with each other, right? And the way that Origins is that actually, right, you're building these teams that are supposed to be very synergistic with each other, right? Like Rage teams, AoE teams, Poison teams, Leafy, Topaz, and so on, right? So our new players are not actually learning how to build a coherent and cohesive team. So that is one of the main goals that we're building towards with the introduction of these starters, is to introduce starters that more effectively teach our new players how to play Origins. Right, and we've tested them out, and we believe that they're, the correct balance, not too strong, not too weak, just good enough to get people interested and addicted to the game, so that they can learn and eventually become NFT owners down the road. So the first starter is Ja, right? So apparently it's Ja. So kind of like a weird pronunciation of the X here. So what is Ja? So Ja is a rage generating support Axie. Typically we're anticipating people to play Xia up front. Why? Well, Xia actually has a really interesting mechanic where when Xia deals damage, it actually generates shield for its teammates. And so yeah, this is a kind of a new mechanic that we're testing out. Is right? Can we have kind of more of like a little bit of a hybrid type of role where it's able to dish out damage, generate rage, but also create some survivability up front. And you'll notice that the new rune and charm introduced with Xia are also in that flavor, right? So Xia's Shattering Shield basically gives one rage to allies when Xia loses 30 shield. And yeah, the charm, Pangolin Shard, is also kind of in this flavor where basically you're getting extra shield per damage dealt. And so this is actually a mechanic that I think could be really interesting when applied to other perhaps archetypes, right? Like one of the things that I really liked about Classic was like the brawler archetype, right? Like you had these kind of tanky dusks and these reflectiles, I think that's something that's been missing from Origins, and I think like testing this mechanic out through Xia opens up some new possibilities. So yeah, this is Xia. Check out the cards as well, and I think we can go on to the next one. All right, so the next starter is named Bing. So what is Bing? So Bing is a rage generating support Axie, and basically, Bing can generate rage, but she can also heal. So it's kind of like she has this lifesteal mechanic that you can see where for example on Puppy, the ear part, right, you're healing allies for 20% of the attack that's being dealt. You see with the rune, right, that Bing's heal cards actually grant rage to allies. And Bing's Ice Cream is also healing allies for 20% of the associated card's attack, right? So it's kind of like a life-stealing, rage-generating support Axie. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun archetype to play with, and yeah, I'm super excited about Bing as well. So the third starter in this anticipated combination is Bubba, right? So Bubba is pretty much the same, but a little bit different, a little bit spicier. Bubba's brush can now be retained and deals splash damage in Fury form, right? So Bubba now has some nice supports and can deal out some pretty nice damage while in Fury form. I want to reiterate that we've also tested these starters and tested them much more vigorously, extensively than we did in the previous season as well. All right, let's go to the next one. So so I think some of you guys have probably seen on Twitter that I'm very vocal that Origins, to be honest, it feels a little bit slow. It feels a little bit stilted, and that, to be honest, can be really frustrating, right? And we know that in modern society, people have really short attention spans, and the pacing of a game can be really important to whether the game succeeds or it doesn't reach its true potential. So I'm really excited about a couple of particular changes and updates here. So one, the turn timer has been changed to 45 seconds max. So this is something that we've hinted at. And yeah, the goal here is to make the game more dynamic, faster, snappier. We've also sped up some animations and changed some mechanics that were also taking up a lot of time. For example, we'll go into this later, but Feather, right, was something that was taking a lot of time to play. And basically what we did is we just doubled the damage on Feather and made it so that you're basically generating half as many, right? So that's a way, right, to speed up the animations, but also change some mechanics so that you're not actually required to have so much time. So yeah, more time pressure should lead to more strategic thinking, faster decision making, and a higher skill cap, right? And that's definitely one of the things that we want to see with Origin. Another change that's intended to create like a faster, more dynamic system, and I guess a faster like build up to a climax, is some changes to the energy fragment system. So yeah, you can now basically hit your first energy burst at 12 energy fragments rather than 15. And in addition, that first energy burst will be generating another card draw, right? So we anticipate people to be having more energy, more cards, and this creating more of a faster dynamic climax to the battles. So we hopefully aren't seeing, these matches that go on and on and on. So that was definitely one of my pet peeves about Origin. So these changes are things that I'm personally super excited about and definitely cautiously optimistic about. And I'll also will say that we've tested these, and we think that 45 seconds is a sweet spot for giving people enough time, but also making the system more dynamic. I think also perhaps is a little bit of a solution to some of the issues we saw at the end of the season. So yeah, I think that with that, those are the main things that I wanted to talk about and introduce.
I can carry on to next. So next up, the energy fragments change is a big one, right? We've changed the scaling of the energy burst. Now, like previously, you required for the first burst, you required 15, and then 20, and then 30. And also, you would get an extra card draw after you hit your second energy burst. But now we've changed that. The scaling is much faster now. You can get your energy burst with the first is at 12, then 16, 20, and so forth. And the good thing now is as soon as you hit your first energy burst, you also get an additional card draw. So when the game starts, you generally get 5 cards per turn. But if you hit your first energy burst, now you're getting 6 cards per turn, a bonus one. So now there are more reasons for you to hit your energy burst, and also it's much easier. Another addition we have done to the energy fragment scanning is, let's say if you have some leftover energy, right? So you can usually what happens before now is whatever energy you had that got converted into fragments. But now if you end your turn with some energy remaining, at least one energy remaining, then you will get a bonus energy fragment. So let's say if I have one energy remaining, I'm going to skip my turn now, and I'll get 2 fragments instead of 1. So this can be utilized by players to either reach their energy burst faster, maintain more fragments depending on if they next time they want to keep more cards, and it also opens up a lot of strategic depth to how players manage their energy fragments as a resource. So yeah, we look forward to these changes, and along with the turn timer and people easily reaching higher energy bursts faster, the game feels quite a lot faster than before and more exciting. You also have more options to play with. Another thing in the turns is P2 used to have free keep, right? And which has now been removed, and Hale can go more in depth on the P2 free keep.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jester. So we have been listening to the community, and this is probably one of the most common suggestions we've received, and it's been reviewed as well. And we ended the previous season quite close, actually. Player 1 and Player 2 were very tight. Maybe it was, I believe, 47-53 towards the end. But then we want to, we'll do everything we can to just improve on that more. So Player 2 is no longer to have access to free keep, and so this gives a unique benefit or a unique advantage for going first, which is now you do have that free keep, and as players should know, it doesn't exactly translate 1:1 with energy fragments. And so with all these changes to the energy fragments, such as the new scaling as well as the bonus energy from having any left over, there's a lot to think about for players and how they want to roll out on their first few turns. And for the last change on this slide, we have updates to Dispel and Cleanse. As everyone knows, Dispel, Cleanse, and Cleansers operated in a batch type system where they would remove a total of 3 or 4 stacks all at once. And often this would lead to situations where you wouldn't really be getting that full value, and it made it a little bit challenging for design to be able to balance certain cards. So now what we've done is these effects will be done one at a time instead, and you'll notice the corresponding changes on the related cards in the future slides.
Right. So next up, we have some changes to status effects in Origins. Vince, you wanna take this one?
Got you. Yeah, I
Okay.
got this. Kind of excited for these. So I want to actually go straight to Deathmark if you guys don't mind, because I think your eyes are going to soon go there anyways, and I consider this a very big one. So just head with me to Deathmark really quick and bear with me. I know it's kind of 3/4 the way down. I think Deathmark's going to be a really big thing. As you guys notice, if Deathmark is applied now, it only does 12 damage, so it's a small nerf from 15 damage. However, a target with Deathmark now takes pure damage through all attacks. So, you know, for people out there that have been wondering, like, well, how are we going to deal with shields and all that? Because, you know, there's a big conversation happening around shields, sustain, right? I'm sure that'll come up in the Q&A. There's now a pretty viable solution here in Deathmark, assuming the person doesn't, cleanser it. And so it's going to be a really interesting solution. And I'm kind of excited for this pure damage change. And I think Deathmark kind of took on a whole new meaning now. Okay, so with that, because we're going to digest that, we can go up. Rage really hasn't changed much. It's kind of just on a technical level now. Because I believe because of Shaw and Bing, there's a chance you could enter Rage on your turn. This is just rewritten so that can't happen. You can only Rage on your turn. I think that's all that's happening here. However, with Fury, there is kind of a big change, and I'm kind of happy about this one because I was kind of spinning this up with some people. And that is now that when you hit Fury, you'll actually draw a card as well. And I think this is a really good quality of life change. I know that with the Mantis Dagger getting so popular and discard being so prevalent in the meta, it was really hard to kind of make, although possible as we saw. I was running it, and we had someone else, I forget their name off the top of my head, but they were doing really well with Fury. But this should make it a bit more viable now as well. So when you do hit your Fury, you're just going to draw a card immediately right then. So hopefully not too strong, but certainly not too weak to kind of add to that. Another change is Feather. So Feathers are going to be kind of interesting now. They're going to scale a lot quicker because now your allies are going to kind of all unify over Feather. So if all allies have Feather, then the Feather effect applies to all of them at once. And so, now it reads, each hit from this axis or attacks from other allies with Feather adds 1 damage. So if your front axis has Feather and it hits, if your 2 back axes have Feather, everyone gains the Feather. So it kind of scales a bit quicker. So it'll be interesting to see how kind of Feather takes back off again. Bleed is another one of those where it looks like a nerf right now on paper, but as you guys will very quickly see as we reveal the cards, it's actually kind of a buff. So Bleed was previously 15 HP per card played. Now it's down to 12. However, like I said, when you guys see all of the cards with Bleed, you'll notice that there's a lot more Bleed stacks happening, a significant amount more. So keep in mind that it's less HP per Bleed stack, but get ready to check those out. And then, Cleanser is like what Hale was just saying. Anytime you guys see anything about Dispel, Cleanser, just in your head, know that there's always going to be a number attached to it. So like Hale was saying, previously, if you just saw Cleanser, Dispel, you knew it was 3 or 4. Now every single card with those is going to clarify exactly how many turns. So some things get nerfed a little, some things get buffed a little. So there's some things now that'll be like Cleanser, like 10, for example, right? And then you just boom. And that's because it's 1 stack. I think it makes for better game design because you could be more specific with the exact amount of stacks you want to, put on the card. And then Snake Jar got a change as well. I would consider this like a buff. You don't need the HP anymore. So previously you would have to do some manipulation where you kind of need your Axie to get under an HP threshold or things like that. So that's been removed. There's no more HP threshold. And also, it's kind of a giveaway at this point, as you guys will see. Snake Jar is a shield card now, not a heal. And it's going to scale the damage based on its base shield. So that's it for the status effect updates. I think there's some exciting stuff there. Definitely leaves a lot of room for theorycraft. And let's go straight into the cards now.
Yep. Next up, we have changes to.
Yeah, let's do that first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hey,
next,
Jats, do you want to talk about goo?
yep, yeah. Let's talk about Goo. So Goo has been around for a long time. We had some like changes to cards to make Goo more effective, but so it was not really doing its job of clogging your deck properly. So now we have made some adjustments to Goo. Now Goo has retain. So whenever you draw a Goo, you're going to retain it unless you use it. And if you want to use Goo, like if you want to remove Goo, you need to either consume an energy fragment to remove your goo, or if you do not have energy fragments, it's going to consume an energy and then exile. So already it used to vanish. Goo is like completely going to exile now. And the thing with this design is, let's say you just drew five goo cards, right? And you still choose not to do it, not to use them. They're going to stay there. More goo cards come, your deck is going to get clogged. And now the interesting part comes. How do you remove them? Let's say you have five energy fragments and six goos. So you can remove those like five goos with the energy fragments, but now you don't have energy fragments anymore. You want to remove the goo, you have to spend your energy. And if you cannot do both, you do not have energy fragments, you do not have let's say energy also, then at that time the goo will just get discarded and it'll shuffle back. So that's mainly about goo. And it's going to be interesting to see how the archetype develops now and how players adapt to this new change. Next up is Purge and Pray, just normal, following along with the changes to Dispel and Cleanse. The number on them has been increased. Previously to Dispel 1, now it's Dispel 3 because Dispel and Cleanse itself just affect like one buff and one debuff now. Next up is Feather Dagger. So Feather Dagger has Ambush now. If you noticed previously, we have introduced a new keyword Ambush to target furthest or closest ally. It will just say ambush. So now feather daggers can be used to target either the front or the back, and it has a little increased damage. You'll find out more why the damage was increased. There's some adjustments into how many feather daggers you can actually have. But yeah, feather daggers now provide like more options to the players if they want to attack the front or if they want to attack the back. And then we have some minor nerfs to Forest Breath and Forest Wrath. Forest Wrath also it has ambush now. You cannot target anyone. So your Axie in the middle will be safe from the wrath of the forest, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it for the tool cards. I think most exciting amongst these is Goo, because you're clogging your deck. Your players might not realize at first like how much effect it does, but it's pretty interesting when you set up a proper Goo deck. All right,
Yeah,
I think we can. Yeah,
Just to
Yeah.
add in, Jetster, by the way, I just want to kind of clarify for people that are putting this together in their head right now. The bottom two, Forest Breath and Forest Wrath, this is a direct nerf to Rise and Ruin, right? Obviously, we saw a lot of kind of complaints and interest in Rise and Ruin last season. We saw it being played well into the Mystic era. And this combination is definitely a nerf to that because Rise and Ruin produces those two cards. And so you've got the combination, right? Like you're saying, of Forest Breath has the initial on it now, if you guys didn't see. So you can't just end your turn by putting the sleep on the guys after you've done everything. And then Forest Wrath, again, like Jatster was saying, which comes from Rise and Ruin. You know, you can put your carry Axie in the middle and they can't just blow it out. So this should help deal with Rise and Ruin a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And just to add on really quickly, if for anyone who didn't notice, Forest Breath now also has initial on the portion that has to deal with sleep. So we're no longer going to be experiencing the the terror, which is all the cards being played out, and then by the way, you're also asleep. So that's one more thing that was pointed out by the community, which has been adopted by design. So moving on, we have our first set of class cards being shown. I'm not going to read through every card here. We'll just talk about the changes. And so we're going to be talking about the beasts first. So Confident actually showcases what we were talking about a while ago with the Cleanse, Cleanser, and Dispel changes. So now it says Cleanse 2. So this is a bit of a nerf for Confident, which used to cleanse a total of 4 debuffs. But then now, with consideration to it being free, of course, Cleanse has been reduced to only removing 2 debuffs. Chubby, as you'll notice with a lot of the other 2 cost cards in the game, has been improved. So from 2 bleed, it is now increased to 6 bleed stacks. And as a reminder, bleed has been changed to deal less HP loss. It's a 12 down from 15, but it's also much harder to get rid of because now if your Axie bleeds, it doesn't lose a stack on that turn. So you actually have to have your Axie just kind of sit back and relax so that these bleed stacks come off during your turns. They will still come off on your opponent's turns. And moving on really quickly, Dota, just a minor change here. Void has been replaced with Goo. For those of you wondering, that basically means Void is gone from the season this time around. So we're bringing Goo in as our token anti-energy curse. And the following cards, Nyan, Jaguar, and have been changed. Just again, the bleed stacks have been increased. Changes to Little Branch and Shiba, minor increases in the attack bonus, so they've gone up to 140 damage each. And Gerbil and Arco have been completely reworked. They are now AoE attack cards, which also do detect. So you will be able to find wherever the pesky secret is across your opponent's axes. And if you all remember the rune from Sha, this actually will play very well if you decide to get that rune and put it on an axie, an NFT axie of your own. And moving on to the next class, which is the plants. Leafy, as a lot of people have anticipated, has been adjusted accordingly. It does now consume 4 leaves instead of the previous 3, and all the numbers have been adjusted in relation to that. The total amount of damage comes out right about the same, but then you will need to invest a little bit more in the in resources to be able to achieve its full potential. Bamboo Spear, minor nerf here, which is where the user still gets the same amount of leaves, but then its allies will be receiving 1 less. Beach has been reworked. It no longer is the Detect All card we remember. Instead, it will sacrifice some of the Axie's current HP and convert that into bonus damage while still detecting. And as mentioned again, these are mostly changes to Cleanse and Cleanser, Rosebud, Mint, and Biden's. Pretty much do the same thing, but then with a specified amount of debuffs being removed. And this is another interesting one, which is Cattail. You'll see something similar with Amp later on, but then a minor note here is it says, next turn, apply 3 taunt. So instead of applying 4 taunt off the bat, you'll receive 3 taunt on the next turn. And while this might seem innocuous, what this does is if you play 2 Cattails or 2 ants on the same turn, you'll only have a total of 3 rounds instead of the previous 4. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's it for the plants. Yeah. Next up, we have the aquas. So aquas, as discussed earlier, we now have the new keyword ambush. And aquas are a class that is supposed to be more flexible. You can choose to hit the front or the back. But the problem there was there were some cards who still, they're supposed to be the ones dealing high damage, but you cannot be flexible with them. So we've introduced ambush into them also. So anemones, both the anemones have ambush. Sea Slug has ambush now. So you're going to be able to synergize your aggro aqua team way better now. And we have seen some changes to Koi also. So Koi is going to deal a lot more damage depending on if you do have bubbles or not. So you can now consume bubbles to deal more extra splash damage from Koi, with per bubble consumes. And as we've seen, more and more aqua cards have ambush now, so you can build up a really nice flexible aqua aggro team. And seeing the energy burst numbers also be easier to achieve now. I think aquas will be a solid thing to look out for. Okay, so next up we have
Sea Slug is a really cool card now, by the way. I'm just looking at this, and that's exciting right there because I really think it's going to change the meta and the way people play a lot. Because this went from a kind of cool tech card to a very cool tech card where you're dealing a lot of extra damage and cleansing. Just to highlight that card.
Yeah, Sea Slug, especially with the increase in debuffs from bleed, Sea Slug will be nice. Now, another interesting change we have is with the birds. We also made birds to be a lot more flexible now. So all the little owls, trumps, and your feather fan, you can choose to target either the front or the back. So now we're more into this category of both aquas and birds being flexible, and it's gonna so the middle position becomes even better now. And looking at the also now to Forest Wrath earlier, or the middle position becomes really important now. And one more thing to highlight here is the changes to Winghorn. So Winghorn deals 4 hits now. Previously it used to deal 3 hits, but now with the 4 hits and changes to Feather, you can scale a little quicker. So this should help out the bird class a lot. Next up is reptile cards. Hale, you wanna take on the reptiles?
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about the reptiles and the bugs.
So you just Wi-Fi uploading the reptiles now.
Thank you, Jester. And everyone, don't worry, we'll be having a bit of Q&A towards the end of the stream as well. So for those of you who have burning questions, do feel free to hold on to them, and then we'll try to get back to you when we can. If not in this stream, then in the net, anywhere on Twitter or on Discord as well. So we got the reptile cards shared on the view-only chat. A lot of these are related to bleed. So we have curved spine, croc, razor bite. These are only minor changes. Again, the increase in the number of turns has been bumped up, so we have 6 bleed for each of these cards. Scaly Spear seeing the same type of change that Feather and Leafy Spears have, or sorry, Bamboo Spear have, where again the user still receive the same total amount of buffs, but then its allies will be receiving 1 less. Gecko showcasing again the same type of change that Confident had because of the cleanse changes, so it's been reduced down for the amount of debuffs that's been removed. And Snake Jar, as previously discussed, is now a shield card with the scaling effect based on the base shield. Again, the big thing to note with Snake Jar is that we no longer have the HP threshold requirement for applying the effect, so you will be able to play these cards right away. Gila has been adjusted to scale a little bit better. The amount of damage is about the same. You'll still come out to 120 in all, but then the scaling has been bumped up from 2 damage per poison stack to 3, so you will be able to hit the maximum amount of damage much sooner than you did previously. And lastly, there's Scaly Spoon, which has also received the adjustment based on the spell changes. So instead of saying dispel the attacker twice, now it just says dispel 6 times. And that's it for the reptile cards. Up next, we'll be having the bug cards as well. There isn't a lot, but then these are a few of the heaviest hitters in the meta, and I think a lot of you might have been expecting some of these cards to be adjusted as well. So as soon as these changes come up, we'll be able to talk about them.
Yeah, I updated the bug cards.
Oh yeah, I'm just hanging on for.
Did he cut out, or was this my internet? Are we good?
I think he'll get out. So I'll carry on the bug cards. So on the bug cards, we have Square Teeth now. So this Square Teeth has been like a lot meta defining card, but now we've adjusted it a little. So now you can consume up to 60 shield, but only do 50% of the bonus damage. So it's nerf to Square Teeth, but it's still quite a good card if you want to attack it with combining with the shields with Bumpy, but it hits a slight nerf. Next up is a major one, Garish Worm. So you cannot discard anytime you want. If you want to discard with Garish, you have to use it as initial, which will affect your options depending on your draw. Next up, we have some number changes to Buzz, and the limit of Twin Tail has been adjusted from 2 to 1. Having a 2 of your card discarded with just one, like one hit, it's a feel bad moment and affects combo teams a lot. And I feel like it limits a lot of options that players can have. And there's a lot of cool combo teams that can shine, but with the limit of 2 to Twin Tail and discard being so prominent, it was difficult, but it should be more easier now. Ant gets the similar changes, Cattail. You cannot just you can use 2 of these to stack your taunt to like 8 turns. Even if you use 2 now, the max you can have is like 6 turns of taunt, which is like 3 rounds. So it should be more easier to deal with teams who depend on taunt a lot to divert your attack.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chester, for the save.
Always, I got you. Okay, so next up, the runes. So runes, first up, I think they're Blunt Teeth. It should work this season. So Blunt Teeth, it has always been a discussion how much an extra energy fragment is worth, and as we've seen from the past 2 seasons, people didn't value Blunt Teeth that much because of the reduction in damage. So we adjusted it a little. Attacks will now grant 1 energy fragment per energy spent, and if this actually doesn't have weak, you just get weak to yourself. So it's easier to get away with the downside of Blunt Teeth now. And now with the energy burst also being easier to reach, we can hope to see like more Blunt Teeth Aquas in play. Excited for these. And next up, there's some minor changes to dominant predator Pangolin. Pangolin just you take minus 20% damage from unblocked, minus 20% unblocked damage. So previously it was like all types of damage, so now it has to be like just unblocked damage, just minor text change there. Adaptive as also, so this is adaptive is going to be interesting this season. I'm really looking forward to the changes to how people adapt in using the adaptive program rune, because there's a surprise coming up next. We will get on this later once we reveal some charms. All right, let's Hail. Is connection good now?
Yeah, I think I'm good. So and just to clarify again with the pangolin, as everyone remembers, previously you were not able to place any shields on your Axie at all. So now you can. So it does still operate in the same way it used to, but then now
I think we'll have to carry on without him for the moment, I guess.
Yeah, Hails. So Pangolin is a minus 20% unblocked damage from attacks, so a lot easier to combine Pango with the other runes and like defensive options with shields. All right, so next up we have some of the remaining rune updates. So these are also mainly number changes. So healing force, so we buffed it a little more again. The damage is going to be 4 damage to all enemies now. Just with the slight 1 damage adjustment, healing force kind of went out of meta, so we hope to bring it back. It's a pretty interesting rune, and I think this buff should help it become meta again. So Heaven's Echoes now. Heaven's Echoes is a slight change. So whenever you play a skill card or secret card, other allies will gain 20 shields. So the rest are minor number changes. Especially if you notice, like Brute Claw also, it's more effective now with the less than 10 bleed. You're gonna double the bleed stacks. All right. Do we have Hail here? Just mic check, Hail.
Yep, I think I'm back. Am I back?
Okay.
All right. Thank you again.
All right. So I think we're good to go with the charms. There's some. Hail, you wanna touch more onto some of the runes, or should we move ahead to the charms?
I think you've covered all of it. There's a lot of very interesting nuances here, especially when it comes to existing teams. And so, for any questions, we got a good question just a while ago, which is regarding, and this is a bit for the cards, but then for Amp and Captail, just to clarify for everyone, the taunts will be applied on your opponent's turn. So you don't need to think too far ahead and then taunt like a whole round ahead.
So the next turn means the next is your opponent's turn. So it's not the next round; it's the next turn.
Yeah. But then otherwise, I think you covered everything for the runes.
Yeah. So this is the next slide is pretty exciting. So we are introducing 4 new things in the game. Let's wait for the slide to upload. So like it has been a topic of discussion for a long time. Like how like just having a few off parts in your Axie makes it pretty like out of meta it can become, right? So we are introducing 3 new charms to the game. These are the mirror charms, the green mirror, the red mirror, and the blue mirror. So what these charms do is whichever they cost 5 PP, they're rare, so you can easily access them starting from the first era itself. And whichever card you put these mirror charms on, that card will get exiled at the start of the battle, and you'll get a new card in your deck instead. So for example, green mirror, if you put green mirror on any attack, shield card, any type of card, that card will get exiled on the start of battle and you'll get a green mirror in your deck. So what's a green mirror? Green mirror is a heal card that gives you 60 heal. So you can, let's say if you're running a poison team, you can choose to utilize green mirror for the sustainability. You can choose to use it in, let's say, a healing focused like team in healing pearls. And the other 2 are red mirror and blue mirror, same like following the same theme. Red mirror gives you a new card called red mirror, which is a 70 damage attack card for 1 energy. I forgot to mention all these mirrors, green, red, and blue, are 1 energy cards. So it'll be easier to utilize them, and you can choose to adjust your axes with like one or two of parts with these mirrors and make them more competitive and easier to play in the arena. The next new charm that we're introducing is Blood Pact. It's an epic charm. You can apply Death Mark, and also there's a downside is like applying 3 bleed to self. So Blood Pact will help you tech against like a very heavy shield meta. If the meta becomes too shield heavy, you can choose to run multiple Blood Pacts to apply death marks. And as a reminder, death mark, if you an XP has a death mark, they take pure damage. So it's going to be a lot of it's going to be easier to tech against like heavy shield metas now, and the game should be more like exciting to play. You want, like, in case there's just people building up for longer periods, taking their whole turns, you now have an answer for them. And following the same theme with the cleanse and dispel changes, we have some adjustments to White Sage and Black Sage. But there is one big change here, which is the Black Sage can be applied on AoE attacks. So the way Black Sage works now is the base is Dispel 1. So no matter what type of attack it is, it will definitely Dispel 1. But on single targets, you get a bonus 3 Dispel. So it's kind of like same as before. You're able to remove 4 buffs with single target attacks. But now on AoE attacks, you can, like, let's say I'm hitting an Earwing that has Black Sage equipped. I can remove 1 buff from each enemy axis. So this is to tech against in case like you're running into a lot of buff-based teams and like Rage, Bubbles, Feathers, and there are a lot in meta. You can choose to tech against it with Black Sage and slow down their game plan. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the changes.
Thank you for all that, Jetster.
Oh, sorry. So, wait.
Oh,
My bad.
squeeze it
My
in.
bad. The second one didn't upload. So there's a couple of more charm changes, just minor ones. I'm just uploading the slide.
Oh, yeah, I see them. Yeah, the Mantis and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, this is kind of a meta defining one also.
Yeah.
So not minor. So first, as you've seen the like theme of the season, kind of like we have a lot of ambush cards now, so you can target front or back. So the only charm you can use to target the midline was Moonstamp, and Moonstamp has been removed this season. So your midline is a lot safer, and you're not going to randomly run into teams in the arena who have Moonstamps on all their attack cards for some reason. Like, yeah, they always surprise me. But now, like, the middle position should be a lot more safer with the removal of Moonstamps. And the Earth Stamp, the charm that we have since the start, gets a good buff. So you can target a random enemy, and if you hit the closest enemy, you're gonna get plus 15% bonus damage. And just with the 2 PP cost, so Earth Stamp might be someone who loves to YOLO and just try their RNG. Earth Stamp could be like really fun for them to play with. Sun Stamp gets minor text change. So Sunstamp, previously you could just attack the backline. Right now, your Sunstamp has ambush, so you can choose to attack either the front or the back. So it'll give you more flexibility, and on some like you can mix a few of the non-aqua or bird cards that you want to run into that ambush team. So that's going to be pretty exciting to see. Next up is Hale, you continue with the Mantis Dagger?
Yeah, sure. We'll talk about it. And then just to add on to the Sun Stamp, the cost has been increased to a total of 4 potential points because it has been buffed from only being able to target the furthest axis to now being ambush. But in addition to that, the damage penalty has been reduced to minus 10% instead of the whole minus 15% it had previously. So energy drink medium or M is now exile instead of banish. So this will impact specifically Topaz teams for sure. And next will be the Mantis Dagger, which has been a very big topic in the previous days or weeks. And a very minor change here, which is now that it will discard a random card per energy card spent or energy cost on the equipped card. And what this really just means is that you can't put it on Square Teeth, and that Sandal now discards 2 cards. And lastly, for Red Sage, nothing major here. It's just an adjustment in line with the changes to Cleanse and Cleanser.
Great. Okay.
Right.
So tons of information has just been presented. I want to come out with a little disclaimer right now. So here's the disclaimer. Obviously, right now, there's a lot of information. People are already probably on the marketplace. They're theory crafting in their head. This is all great. But the disclaimer is that none of this is final, of course, until the season starts. So this is sort of a here's what's planning to happen, and this is what's going to be implemented sometime next week, right? But the whole point of this is that we want to test as a community while we're testing internally as well. So if we test as a community and we're like, okay, certain things are clearly either too broken or not strong enough or whatever, then things get iterated on, right? So just I want to make sure that disclaimer is really clear before you guys go, totally crazy or think this is think every single thing is final. Because it's always a work in progress until the season starts. And then with that, and I kind of just snuck this in right now, you guys can expect these changes to be on production. I've heard we're aiming for next week and it might be end of next week, but we're aiming for next week, and that is when you guys can actually try these on the game itself.
All right. So
double emphasis. Don't rage, don't go too crazy. We're making a lot of changes, and we think that our testing process is getting a lot better. We're gonna test these out very soon. Hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, sometime next week. I also want to hop in and emphasize or point something out that I find interesting. So if we look at the red mirror, the blue mirror, the blood pact, and the green mirror cards. Sorry, basically the mirror cards. One of the interesting things is that these charms might actually create more viable axes, and they might actually be a boost to collectible axes, right? Because a lot of the collectible axes, right, they'll have a card or two that just really doesn't fit in your deck. This is an experiment to see if kind of doing a swap out or some sort of a card alteration to make that a particular card more fit with the archetype or the build of your deck. It's an experiment to see if that will open up more viability for different axes. So. But yeah, I do think that, keep in mind that the potential points are quite high right now. But, that's also something that we'll look at and see maybe we can iterate and adjust that as well. So.
Awesome. So before we move to the Q&A stage, I think we just have a couple announcements, starting with POS2, right? About some maybe off-season stuff going on, or?
Yeah, can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Okay, Chatster, would you mind? So we're going to go on, Chatster.
So which one do you wanna do first?
Let's do
You
the
can announce.
first. Let's okay. All right. So to celebrate season 6, guys, we will have 2 preseason tournaments. So let's start with the Kawaii Cup. This is a tournament exclusive to Japanese Axie holders. So I'm waiting for the slide. Jets are here. Okay.
Yeah, it's uploading.
All right. So it's a 64-player tournament for 200 AXS prize pool, and it will be held on October 1st at 7 a.m. Vietnam time. It will be streamed here on Discord, and I'm really excited about this because players are required to have at least one Japanese Axie in their team at all times. So we are going to show off all those kabuki, all those Japanese parts, right? So that's the first tournament, and we are going to have the season 6 buy-in brawl. So this is similar to last season's buy-in brawl. This time, the top 100 players from the previous season will be automatically invited, right? And we are also planning to extend invitations to Atia's most faithful, because we've seen that there were a lot of community members, players who prayed to Atia for more than for 100 days consecutive, right? 100 consecutive days. So we are going to extend the invitation to them as well. And there will be a 500 AXS baseline prize pool, 412 slots available for buy-ins, and Sky Mavis will match each buy-in. So theoretically, the prize pool will be the total prize pool will be 1,324 AXS. So if you notice, the dates of the tournament are tight. It's because the duration for the season 6 off season is limited, so the tournament schedule will be tight. And also, the tournament dates are subject to change based on the timeline of Origins. So I'm really excited about this. We will be able to showcase some breeders, some theory crafters will be able to showcase the themes that they think will be strong, will be meta for season 6. So yeah, let's go.
Which is the one that I went on a spirit quest to name?
Was that Jeff?
Which is the one that I went on which tournament is the one that I went on a spirit quest to name?
I think it was Kawhi. It's the next tournament. After these 2 tournaments, we will announce that. But yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, PS2. Before we go into the Q&A, there's another announcement as well. So let's first of all just discuss the process of this Q&A. So for this Q&A, we really just want to focus on kind of like balance, meaning like everything that happens inside of the battle, which is actually the opposite of what you guys usually hear me say on the other town halls that I do. So try to keep the questions just contained to like the cards, the runes, the charms, the mechanics, the things that happen from the start of battle to the end of battle. With that being said, if you guys are curious about like, okay, well, are there any AXS changes? Are there leaderboard changes? Are there era changes? Are there new missions, crafting? All that stuff is what me and Cruz, as we mentioned earlier, Cruz and I will do a town hall later, right before the season starts, where we will reveal all that. So definitely don't miss that one. But just to set the tone for the Q&A. Now, one small leak I will give, Jiho's told me to kind of leak this. Since we're now talking about competition and competitiveness and all that, and this only affects really kind of a few players, but a lot of spectators, is I can tell you one change we're leaning towards and probably going to do for next season is regarding the very, very, very top of the leaderboards. And what we're probably going to do is have it do a thing where in order to win the season, aka like the final era, the Mystic era, whatever the last era is, it's going to be sort of like you have to be in the top 8 players. And it's not that when the clock hits, 10:30 in the morning in Vietnam and you're number 1, you don't just win the season anymore. What's going to happen is when the season ends, we're going to take like the top 8 players and say, okay, now you guys play a tournament among yourselves to decide who gets all the AXS up top in the final 7 spots or the final 8 spots, who gets the number 1 border. So winning a season is probably going to change in the future. And I know, again, I'm only speaking to like 8 players right now because it's very hard to make the top 8. But I think from spectator point of view, this could be really interesting. So I just wanted to leak that now while we're talking about competition and stuff. So I think with all that being said, we can start the Q&A now. I see there was a lot of hands up still from the past. I'm wondering if we should just kind of X all those out and start new, if that's okay with you guys. I think that's the play. So I am Xing out everything at the moment. Sorry. So if you had your hand up, if you still want your hand up starting like now, just start doing it, and then we'll try to find people. That way we know everyone's active and ready, and we'll kick off this Q&A.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start it with TG. I'm bringing them up. So when you're called on, just so you know, that means have your mic ready, kind of be ready because you're going to be on the stage. Okay. So TG, you're coming up.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll try to entertain and accommodate as many people for this Q&A as possible. So do try to structure your questions in such a way that they can reliably just be answered. And as mentioned by Bezozer a while ago, please keep them within the realm of this discussion, which is relating to the balancing changes for everything and anything battle and design related. So TG, what's on?
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yep.
How you doing?
Nice. How you guys doing? All right, I'll be quick on this one. I've been theory crafting a lot recently, and I just I cannot find a way to make other tail cars viable outside of Ant Cocktail and Cottontail and maybe Quintail on Sustain, but like we're lacking a lot on the balance side on the tail cars. we really could use some love there. Like Swallow is a really good card. I don't know what's gonna happen now because we can get energy burst now, but I'm pretty sure like everyone will be running the typical like taunt in the back and the cotton tail on front. But we really need some love on the tails and also on the ears, because like it is either Innocent Lamb to copy something else, to synergize, and that's pretty much it, and that's almost on every single composition out there. It depends on the synergy, of course, but that's the that's you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think this is stuff that we're trying to be sensitive over as well. Like if everyone saw the changes that were made towards these no-brainer type of cards, where it's like, why wouldn't you run these cards? And a lot of these are very meta, particularly because they have usability across multiple different archetypes. So often we'll really see Twin Tail primarily in like defensive teams, but then like things like Cottontail, like that really sees like play pretty much everywhere, just because of like how general it is. And something that design tries its best to do is try to create these niches for different cards, and admittedly not everything has really like found its place just yet, so some cards still do see some big swings, but then we're also trying to be sensitive with making sure that a lot of the existing archetypes are still able to kind of keep up on all fours. So definitely that's a very good consideration, like trying to even out things, and I think a lot of that comes down to like the mathematics as well. Sometimes like some cards are just straight up more valuable, and it really puts you in this position of like, why wouldn't I play this over something else? But then it's a very good consideration to have. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Cool.
Iggy.
So
All right.
next up, we're gonna pull up someone that I know has a lot of experience, and their brain must just be brewing right now with a million questions. Of course, Spam and Rice. So get on up here, Spam. I know you probably have 5,000 things to say.
Hey, what's up, guys? First of all, I just want to say I'm freaking hyped for all the changes. I think you guys did a great job today. You delivered it all flawlessly. So thank you for getting us all excited. I had a question I've been dying to ask all day, but since you guys did give me that disclaimer, I'll keep it patch related only. When it comes to this patch and all these changes and whatnot, I think Origins has been making great progress. Every season we're improving, and last season we finally got what I would like to say a balanced season, right? We made great progress, and you saw so much diversity. We all had a lot of fun. I just want to keep the momentum going, and I just want to kind of ask this question. With all these changes, there's gonna be a lot of vigorous testing that's gonna need to be involved. I don't want to take any steps back and whatnot. I don't know if you guys can say this, but how long are we expecting the off-season testing phase to be? Because these are a lot of huge changes.
I could probably take that on behalf of Cruz right now, which is basically we've set aside more, a good chunk of time. We have a date in mind as far as when we want the season to start, but it's not entirely locked yet. So like I said, the end of next week is when we're trying to get these changes in the game, right? And we want to give it at least a minimum a week of external testing, and that's a minimum a week of that. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, but we have also, in my mind, kind of improved. We've leveled up our internal testing as well. POS2 or especially Jatster can talk about that right now if they want. But yeah, it's very close to home for them.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That's it for my question. I'd love to hear what Jat and Postu have to say about the increased internal testing. Keep up the good work as always, and thank you guys.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, so internally this time around we have especially the previous meta teams from the last season, we have rigorously testing, nothing from that is broken. Everything is still balanced, and all the new stuff like energy burst and introducing the ambush change to different classes and the buffs to rage and everything. So we're testing each possible you could say combination of especially of the new stuff. So I would say we're a lot more confident on our internal testing this time, especially we don't want another Momo situation to happen. So the starters are the biggest focus, and after that all the new stuff that on paper you might think could be broken. So it's been rigorously tested internally a lot. Like I would say a lot.
Yeah. This is the reason why we brought Jetster and one of our coordinators here in Vietnam. Like what they need to do here is they just need to sleep, eat Tom, and play. Test the changes. So yeah, we are really confident. We are so much more confident for all the changes this season with all the testing.
Yeah, exciting. All right, yeah, Chuck Fresco. We know him. We love him. Get on up here, Chuck. If you're there, or did I misclick? I think I fat figured the invite. Here you go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sure.
Hey, Chuck.
Hello.
How you
Welcome,
doing?
Chuck.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. The people are demanding questions, but I see you purposely blocked the question that I was going to ask, so I'll ask something very interesting. So I see for this season, just from analyzing the cards, that a lot of them, I mean, I played Sustain this last season, but you guys nerfed Twintel, you limited down to 1 from 2. Originally, the armor of Twintel was reduced from 70 to 65 because it had like such a powerful effect. So I don't see the reason why you guys nerfed it and kept the other nerf that it had. I just feel like it was like over nerf on it. But I understand what the logic was. I just feel the armor value should go back up if that was the decision. But here's the thing that I was gonna think about: the new effect that you guys changed. Like, I just think it's way too powerful. What it's providing, especially against any person that even plays any shield card. Deathmark, if I'm reading it right, allows the opponent just to hit right through you. Even with after the first attack, the other attacks will be right through. So what stops someone? Let's say I played 3 energy of armor. That usually is like 180, maybe 200 armor, depending on buffs. So you play 1 Axie Kiss or whatever, get the death mark on them, then all that energy is worthless at that point that you spent that turn defending. And you even left it with its previous effect too, meaning that card's value is so strong now. And you have charms now that also allow any card to become that. So I just don't understand the logic for that effect. Like, it just seems so broken. For like, are you guys telling the community we do not want people playing Sustain anymore? Is that what you guys are saying? We only want them playing Topaz.
Gio, do you want to take this? Or I can.
Yeah, I can comment on that. So it's not just so mainly the sustains that you see like just rely on heavy shielding and the surviving Blood Moon. So those are definitely getting a hit this season. It's not gonna it won't be a viable strategy. Like sustain always somehow comes up with new ways to defend. So yeah, but yeah, like the main focus was to not have those teams that just sit back, just put on shields and wait for Blood Moon to do the work. So now they're going to have to find creative ways, and we've also introduced a lot of new changes. So it's not just going to be Topaz. There's like a lot of different archetypes that you can play, and especially with the new energy burst change, I think like on paper you might not realize how much possibilities it opens up for comps that previously weren't like that good. So I'm still hopeful for a lot of diversity this season, and the Shield teams they have to like rethink their strategy.
I mean, what you're basically saying is Shield is dead because like there's no point to playing on Shield because the effect is so easy to unleash that I just don't see it. Like, I don't see the comp even being viable anymore. Like, you guys swear that you guys don't want to do certain things, but it does look like it was a direct, like, anyone who plays that deck is dead basically in this game. That's the way I see it with that effect. It just is too powerful. It just no counterplay. Maybe you'll play cleansers to counteract it, but why isn't there a card that I could get that says, okay, for 1 energy, 1 Axie, none of their attacks will do damage next turn at all. Like, that would be the equivalent effect, and then that would be fair, right? Like, we should have a card like that.
I mean, like, are you saying like the teams that just rely on heavy shielding and Blood Moon, like Should they also be like in the meta equally?
No, I'm just saying. Let's say I have a card, right, and its effect is like I put this effect on an attacking Axie. All the energy for its attack cards are like doesn't matter because they'll do 0 damage. Like that's the equivalent of the effect if it were the opposite way. I just think you guys
Yeah.
really need to look at that card a little bit more. It's a little bit too strong, in my opinion.
Mhm.
That's kind of what these taunts with shield, right? Like you taunt and then you just throw up a shield, and it is like saying like, yeah, all of your all of your attack cards do no damage, right? So I think we're looking to create a hard counter to these teams that just sit back and throw up shield and wait for Blood Moon, because I think that's a frustrating type of build to play against. But as people say, right, like sustain these tanky builds always find a way.
Yeah.
But I also think that, right, like the sitting back, throwing on shield, healing yourself, taunting, and just waiting this war of attrition. I don't think that's necessarily a healthy type of build. But we'll keep an eye on what happens.
Yeah, and I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, just to close it, just the idea, I just feel like it's just too strong. But anyways, I guess we'll have to see it live with everything else. But yeah, this one seems too much. And there was one more point I was trying to make, but I think that's enough for today. I just think certain builds didn't get touched. Like, oh, the point I was making, look at the top 10 teams that won last season, that were the highest teams in the season. I don't think Sustain was in there. I think it was more Topaz. So it almost seems like you guys went after the wrong build, but just an observation.
Okay, that was a weird noise.
Yeah,
We are
chill.
gonna be bringing someone else up now. We're gonna bring up. I don't want to mispronounce this. I'm gonna try though. Zarathustra. Not even close to saying that. You're up.
Hi guys, it's a pleasure to be here. So my main concern is about the timer changes. I know that you guys want a more dynamic game, but there are some cards and some archetypes that really need that time, and even if you don't need all the time to actually click on the cards, like let's say feathers or Navaga, pumpkin stuff, or things like that. I think it's not a good thing to incentivize, like to have faster turns, because what it really does is like it lowers the quality of the gameplay. Even if it's faster, the turns will be clunkier, because before I had like 30 seconds to think and 30 seconds to play, and now I only have 15 seconds to think. So my main concern is that the game starts
Yeah.
rewarding less decks that doesn't need you to think. That's
Oh yeah, I can take on this. So like
one
along
more
with the
I also used to stall some of the turns, even if I was done with my cards, just to open my deck and see what I'm gonna play the next turn. Or even before I play, I would open my deck, see if I play this card, I can blah blah blah. I don't have the time to think ahead of many turns, because of course I don't know what my opponent's gonna play. So I really don't like that change myself. Of course, if that's good for the rest of the people, I would prefer see more people play that a game that it's like
Yeah.
I want, but
No, like so yeah, I can answer that. So like along with the changes to the turn timer, we've also carefully selected like cards that used to take a long time to play. So like, let's say Winghorn, your Feather Daggers, and stuff like that. Like and like there was some ranged animation that would take a lot of time. So we've also sped up those animations, and it will be like so if you like previously if it was taking you like 30 seconds to play all those cards, now it's going to take half the time. So if you're considering like this extra time spent on card playing, that won't be an issue. But yeah, so one thing, like as you mentioned, like you're taking a look at your deck, seeing what your next moves are going to be. So now you're going to be have to a little bit, like if let's say if you're taking like 50 or the 60 seconds previously just to think about like your strategy, you're going to have to do it a little faster now. So players with like more swift thinking, will be like it's gonna the less turn timer is gonna reward them, and like with more experience you'll be able to think faster. So that's another like kind of a skill expression also. But yeah, don't worry about the animations. We are like actively looking to make sure the animations don't become a problem in like taking the time in your turn.
And the good news is this could be an iterative process as well. So a turn timer would not fall in the category of like protected by mid-season changes. So if for some reason a chaos ensues and just it's not working, we go, okay, then we'll adjust it if needed, right? Or maybe the very long-term solution involves some sort of different tech, or we can look at it by changing it by rank. But we thought this was better just to, as Jiho kind of laid out early on in this, the theme of this is just kind of speed things up a little bit. As we just saw from the last question, shields are going to be a little bit harder to make work the whole battle. The turn timers get reduced. We're just trying to pick up the pace a little. So we're starting here with 45 seconds, and then it can be an iterative process if needed.
One of the things that we saw, right, was people really like blitz mode, and right, so yeah, and even baseball this year, right? They're speeding up the games, and people really like it. Chess is actually popping off right now, and it's mainly due to the blitz format, right? So as I mentioned, right, like we need to build this game to be kind of conducive and in line with the times. And modern society, they want snappy experiences. And we've tested, and our testers, internal testing is saying that 45 seconds seems to be enough. And yeah, I think more pressure, more time to think quickly. Sorry, less, more pressure to think quickly. I think will create more like unforced errors. And right now, I think everyone is like just playing their perfect hands. Way too much of the time, right? So I think like adding some more time pressure will create more skill, because you're gonna need to be better at thinking quickly. So that's kind of the logic.
Thank you for the question. We are going to now pull up meat value. So be ready, guys. What's up, meat?
Hello. What's up? I just wanted to ask something about the horns, the spear horns, because I think Hale, when he was talking about the reptile scaly spear, he said that it got the same treatment as the plant horn and the bird horn. But the bird horn is not in the image, so I don't know if it was actually changed or not.
Oh yeah, I think that might be a typo. Yeah, the feather spear is also changed. The similar treatment as both spears. Yeah, I'll update. That's my bad. I'll update the image.
It's just a missing image. I just confirmed. I'm looking at the official changelog that we have access to right now to see, and yeah, meet the scaly spear, the feather spear and scaly spear are both actually changed with the exact same logic. It's just a visual. We just didn't show it.
Great. And the other question was if you guys did some testing on Cottontail after the change to energy burst.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we did.
And if you're happy with the state of Cottontail now. Like, I know it got indirect buff because of the Garage and Mantis change, so maybe it's still good, but I was just wondering.
I would say it's still good. There's a different way you play Cottontail now. So I think as players put in like more time into the theory crafting and just doing the maths on the energy fragments and how you gather them, you will realize how like you can utilize Cottontail now.
Okay,
but yeah, it still feels nice.
Yeah, I was expecting it to go down to 7 again, right? When I read the changes to energy fragments, and then I was surprised, but then I thought, well, maybe you guys still play it and it's okay like that, right? Okay, thank you.
Me, what do you think about the, I remember on Decentralized Autos, we were talking about, right, like the, turn timer, stuff like that. We were thinking about we also considered a time bank, but it turned out to be, as I mentioned on that stream, that, it's too hard, I guess, like in terms of dev effort. So what are your thoughts on 45 seconds? Because I remember you mentioned that you were one of the people using all of your time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna say anything until I try it, I guess.
Okay.
Because, like, right now I use all my time, but I think I can do the same with 45 seconds probably most of the time, right? I don't know. Maybe the main problem is some builds like Sarah was saying, the Navaga builds, or like I don't know. For example, if Innocent Lamp didn't got speed up in the animation, that could be a problem, and stuff like that, right? Like, for example, for builds that play, I don't know, Antenna Pumpkin and then hit themselves and have to do like a lot of game actions. Maybe it would be nice if we keep the 45 seconds, but each time you play a card, you gain, I don't know, 1 second or something like that, right? So that those builds can still exist.
Cool. All right. Yeah, well, let us know what you think when you get it in your hands, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Up next, it looks like we got Cat, aka I believe Cat Carey. Memory serves me. You are invited up, sir.
What's up, guys? I've actually I've gone through a brand change. I'm going by Davy Jones, but you can still call me Cap.
All right, Davey, what do you got for us?
I just want to say first off, man, holy crap on these changes! Like, guys, I came into this thing a little late, and I'm blown away. The 45-second time clock, I think, is a great idea. I was literally playing earlier today, and I was just like watching this guy drain the clock on me, and I was like, "Come on, bro!" So 45 seconds, I'm so ready for. But I just, as a poison simp, I didn't hear much, and I don't know if I missed it on mechanic changes for poison. Was there anything, or am I just shot in the dark here?
We have a buff on Gila, so Gila does more damage and more damage quickly now. But there's a damage cap, so this is for like if you want to talk about like direct changes to poison, it's mainly with Gila.
Okay, cool. I love Gila.
But yeah, like we have like the whole energy burst system changing, and like a lot. So the meta can shift a lot. So we'll see where poison sits in the new meta.
Speaking of, shout out to Gila C. He's my boy, my love, my homie. He and I are starting a podcast. I'm sorry, this is a shameless plug, called The Jelly and a Monster. We're literally going to just talk about whatever. But I appreciate it, man. I don't have anything else. If only change the mechanics is Gila, I'm so cool with it. What's the cap, by the way? No pun intended.
The total damage becomes out about the same, but then we've increased the scaling, so now you get 3 damage per stack instead of the older 2. So you'll be able to hit that max cap much sooner than you did previously.
Oh wow, love it!
Yeah,
all right, thanks guys. I don't have anything else.
I was using Gila on like my front axie, so I think that's actually helpful to me because I'll be able to like get it off before it dies.
I hear that, dude. I hear that. Well, listen, God bless you guys, and keep doing what you're doing, man. Love it.
Thank you, Davy Jones. We're bringing up Son Lei right now. Son Lei, you're on stage.
Hi, guys.
What up?
I have only 2 questions about balancing. We still have cards with no use in the game. Hatsune, Kingfisher, Cirastes. Do you think about something about these cards?
Oh yeah, so like we have a lot of moving parts in the game, right? And it might become a lot messy if we change all of the stuff at once. So we are taking like bite-sized pieces. Like we have some changes this season to bring more excitement to the meta, more balance, right? And like depending on that, on the next season, we can look to like improve more cards.
Okay. And I am agree with Jack this time. In the change, I see new win comes to mid-range camps, changing Deadmark, Blood, and other stuffs. Why did they didn't add new ways to win for sustain camps?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there does need to be I think of more viability for comps that are playing some shield but also doing damage, right? So I think like we need to think a bit about the win conditions. That's also one of the things that I mentioned about one of the starter axes, right? It's like it's kind of a new mechanic where it's like it gets shield based on unblocked damage, right? So it's like I think we have builds that poison and heal, and then we have like pure aggro teams, and then we also have like we had these pure shielding comps, but I think like maybe the future is around more balance where you're actually able to do damage while putting up some moderate amount of shield, right? So I think like some sort of a middle path could be really interesting, and I think like cards that do things like you put up shield based on the amount of damage you're doing, that could be an interesting option to pursue.
Yeah, and one major bit there is also going to be the tempo changes. So we've previously, like in older seasons, seen a few sustain type teams, but then they weren't leaning too much on like going all the way to the end of the game, but then rather just kind of doing this little setup. We saw like Tiny Fan and Perch, and hopefully with these changes to the energy burst system, for example, it'll make these strategies a little bit more accessible, where you don't have to hold out for too long, because often you'd find yourself overwhelmed by the time it would actually be online. So we're looking to encourage players to mix and match with these different strategies. And one thing I think that players will definitely need to exercise is the utility of Cleanse and Cleanser when managing death marks. So it's going to be an interesting bit where, as usual, a meta will exist, because there's no reason for aggro players to bring these things if sustain isn't prevalent or too heavily represented. So there's always going to be these opportunities or windows where players will be able to kind of find the timing when it's best to play these decks as well. So I think like ultimately it's going to be like all about navigating what the meta landscape is going to look like, and then just really providing players with those outs that they need.
Yeah. I agree with that, but I think we need more win cons in runes for sustain comps. We have a lot of ways to win in mid-range and aggro comps based on the runes they have, and we didn't see that to sustain, and that makes all the comps of sustains we know in the past seasons was Blood Moon comes and make you in the late game, and I don't know. I don't think it's the way, but I am agree with Navaga and Tiny Fan upgrade this season.
Yeah, definitely we're exploring more ways to kind of provide players with that ramp up. Like last season, we introduced the change to Carrot, which is like like one way you can build up towards the end. So I guess like it's really just blurring those lines between like mid range and sustain, and then just really finding ways for players to kind of just take over the control of like the match, and build up and develop. I think is the word I want to use. Like develop your position and then be able to do that reversal on your opponent, which is like what a lot of these teams tend to do. And definitely agree. More win conditions for sustain or like just late game teams in general would be very interesting to have, just so we have different types of play styles.
I do kind of want to give my comment on sustain now. After hearing this question and also hearing from Chuck, I feel good about giving my thoughts on sustain like Jiho did as well, especially since I don't work directly on game design, so this is relatively safe. But here's my thoughts on sustain, and tell me if any of you guys kind of agree with this as you're listening. We obviously want to grow the game, right? And we want to onboard new communities. So we're going to obviously be bringing on new communities like Kongs and they're going to want to try out Origins, and we love that as an Origins community. So when they get to their first real PvP match, and we just make it black or white, and this brand new player goes against a team that just beats him down in 9 turns, right? He's like, oh, okay, well, I got killed quick. I'm on to my next game. And he might walk away thinking, okay, how can I improve my deck? How can I kill them quicker? How can I replicate that? Those might be natural thoughts. But if the guy's first ever PvP experience is a 10-minute game that goes 27 turns and the guy puts up shields for 27 turns, he might just immediately turn from the game and go, I don't know what this game is, but I couldn't do anything and I just sat there for 10 minutes and the guy just played shields and put emojis on me. So if we're making it that black and white, my take is I'm always going to take the first option where it's a quick blow and you feel like I got to kill the guy faster and optimize my deck. But that making it super black and white, and that's just my take on a black and white sustained versus aggro game. Especially,
I'm not agreed with that. I'm sorry, but I am not agreed with that. In a hill meta, we need control, we need mid range, and we need aggro. That's what's necessary for a good meta game. And I don't know. I don't think the way is that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think to find the middle ground there, it's maybe it's more towards encouraging, like, where's the punchline? Like I think late stage teams aren't the problem, but then the problem is really just when they arrive and then they don't really kill you in a way you would expect. It's like there's shield, and then Blood Moon kills you, then that's it, and you're like, oh, that was it.
Yeah.
But then like
but this happens because we don't have win cons. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Let me finish. And then I just want to say, like, if you have a team, however, that does all these things, but then there's this massive perch at the end of it, you're like, wow, dude, like this guy did like 500 damage, and then all my guys are dead because I couldn't stop him before he reached that point. So then there's like there's a build up to something, right? And that's fine. Like we have no problem with teams that want to stretch the game out a little bit because they're doing something to some end to kill you somehow. What the community, and this is in my opinion, this is me getting tagged by hundreds of people on Twitter all the time. The experience that they seem to dislike is when there doesn't seem to be that exchange happening, where you have a player who builds a wall in front of you and it's your problem to get through that wall or you die. So like the wall doesn't even fall on you. You just die on the other side out of hunger or starvation. So, and it's something that we want for both players, where they get that sense of like accomplishment, where like I survived your onslaught and built up my position here to be able to defeat you with my strategy. And like you said, and we do agree, like it would be wonderful for us to introduce more ways for players to be able to do that. And that is the direction that we have been working towards, especially with changes to like Healing Pulse, Carrot, and so on and so forth. And definitely we could have more. If we're not there yet, we'll get there soon.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll be a continuous conversation, I'm sure, that extends onto Twitter over the coming.
Yeah. I agree with that.
We can't resolve this right now. Obviously, there's strong opinions. I think we get that for sure. I want to try to gauge how much longer we want to go. I'm going to keep pulling people up. What are you guys thinking? Should we wrap this up pretty soon? How are you looking on time, Gio, Hale, Jatster?
Yeah, I can take a few more questions, but if anyone needs to step down, that's fine too. We have a little bit more time. We've been running for a good hour and 30 here, so we can maybe bring on like a few more people and then close it out. And then any other questions can probably just come in through the Discord or maybe through Twitter.
All right, let's get 2 more solid.
Goodbye, guys.
We'll get 2 more in then.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll get 2 more in then.
Thanks.
Up right now is Axie Dukes coming up. You're invited, man.
How's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, Dukes, how you doing, man?
Sweet. Good. I just have 2 questions. One is about the mechanics behind goo. Is if able on the card text interchangeable with this must happen if it can? For example, is the goo automatically paid for at the end of the turn, or is it as drawn if there are shards available?
All right, so I'll break it down for everyone, and it's really just like a technicality on the writing. But then what it basically says is you're forced to pay the cost if you're able to, and if you're able to, then the card is exiled. So it first looks for energy fragments, and if you have any, it'll be reduced, and then it's exiled. But then if you don't have any, then it tries looking for energy, and if you do, it gets reduced, and then it's exiled. But if you don't have any of that either, then it just gets discarded. But all of this only happens if you try playing the card. If you don't want any of that to happen, it can just chill in your hand, but that's up to you because you're running out of hand space the more goos you pick up.
Okay, and the second question I had is the jar barrage damage strictly based off the flat amount of the card itself, or the amount it's shielded for example, like adaptive program?
That's probably a technical one I'll have to get back to you on, but if I'm not mistaken, it should operate in a similar way to Turnip, where it will be based on the shield amount on the card at the time it was played.
All right, cool. That's all I had for you guys. Thanks, man.
Thanks for coming on, Diggs. See ya.
Thank you, Dukes. That was a quick one. We're moving on to Levi's Squad. Levi's Squad, you're invited up.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to establish that I understand the disclaimer, but there's been one thing that I've been meaning to ask since I played Axie again after a 1-year hiatus. So I observed that I can't download Axie Origin neither in iOS and Google Play in PH region. May we have answers what's holding back allowing the game to be downloaded in this specific region?
Yeah, sorry, but then like we're trying to limit the questions, but then like I think any of the support staff in chat will be able to definitely help you out there. There are certain regions that are it is available to for the meantime, but then we're trying to keep the conversation related to the topic if that's okay.
No, completely fine. But I hope to hear some breadcrumbs about that anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna we'll end the question. Bring Chandix up as well.
Anyway, thank you.
Horns. It's chaos up here. All right.
This dog, dude. This dog. All right, I need the dogs are mad. The dogs are
Oh, that's your dogs. Okay.
No. Those are not my dogs. I think. It was
they're not yours. Chandix, you got the invite. If you want to join, I'm about to just invite everyone, and whoever gets up there first gets the last question.
Yeah, my guy Levi bringing up Sha and being on chat ahead of the release.
Okay, Fadavar, you get a shot.
That was a leak for one of the starters. I'm gonna go. Much love to everybody. Yo, we had over 1,000 people show up. That was amazing. Remember, these changes are not final, but yeah, I'm excited to test them all out with you. If everything goes according to plan next week. Yeah, I'm gonna go. The space is not ending, by the way. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna go sleep. But much love, sending love to everybody. Shout out Philippines, shout out Argentina, shout out Venezuela, shout out to all the places in the world. Shout out Spain. I think some people from Spain stayed up until like 6 a.m. for this, so much love. Yeah, shout out Peru, Muke. Yeah, much love.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. We'll just take one, maybe two more questions. Let's see how good the questions are. Fadavar.
Hello.
Hey, Fadavar. Welcome on. Yeah.
So my two quick questions are, first of all, there were some cards that have similar mechanics to target both closest and furthest target. Like Toothless Bite, will it keep the ambush change or will it be single target?
Those will all the cards that previously had the effect which allowed you to target the closest or furthest enemy will be retroactively updated to the ambush change. So while ambush is a new keyword, the effect in itself has already previously existed.
I see, thanks. And the second question is about anemones. Can they overextend the basic damage with
jumps? Yeah, so the change now with Anemone is that instead of resetting the base damage, it just increases every time you get a kill. So you have two options here. You can burn your Anemones early and just use the high base damage to put a lot of pressure on, or you can opt to save them for later on after they build up a little bit of attack after having killed an Axie or two.
That's really huge. Much appreciating from the Anemone spawn. So hope it will shine again. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Fedivar.
All right, we are going to take another question. LMDT Fran, let's hear what you got.
Hi, Fran. Welcome on.
Hi, hello, everyone. I have a question just one question about Thorny Caterpillar. I mean, if you can remove your goods from zero cost, Thorny Caterpillar is maybe useless.
I think that's going to come down to the players, and especially the one who's holding the goose, and what's more important to them. Because the cost of removing the goo will be your development, which is going to be like the energy fragments, as well as potentially energy, if not just choking your hand. And especially together with the changes to the energy burst system, where you're able to reach an earlier energy burst in the match, it'll matter quite a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the change that you did to the goose it's okay, but maybe if you want to watch only Caterpillar to adjust or balance the card, it will be it's a card that I never seen at ranked, and well, maybe you can watch it.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. It'll be on our radar, and we'll be keeping an eye on it. And as Zoza shared a while ago, we're looking, if everything goes well, to share these changes with everyone for external testing on the main client in the esports mode. And all of your feedback will be very much appreciated when you send them our way. So if you yourself are a Thorny Caterpillar fan and manage to get some testing out there, definitely let us know how it goes.
Okay, thank you. Well, I know that Thorny Caterpillar fan, but I never see that card on ranked match, and was asking just like Swallow. It's a very good card, but no one uses.
Yeah. As mentioned a while ago, like in these changes, there is only so much we can do, and we try to keep these changes in the season to be as impactful as possible. So while we can't touch everything, we do eventually get there. So it's a continuous iterative process.
Yeah, I think you did a really great job with the mirrors. The mirrors are a great opportunity. I mean, if I have a good axie with an owl, just one owl, now I can turn this axie into a competitive axie with the, you have red mirror, blue mirror, green mirror. It's one of the best changes I ever seen in Axior engines.
Thanks for that feedback. That's really good to hear.
Probably thrilled to hear that.
Oh yeah.
He's been pushing that. I've been watching him from a distance. Tried for 2 seasons to get those in. I think that's really cool. I'm glad that they went for it.
Full credit to Jatzer. The mirrors are his brainchild together with the development team, so it's amazing.
Let's get. There's the Cotton Candy and Super Ween. We're waiting a while. We're just gonna get them. Sorry, Annihilator. No more questions. We're gonna do Cotton Candy, Super Ween, and wrap this thing up. So let's get them. And then I'll feel like we've kind of closed the queue of the long-term questions. Then, so you're up.
Sounds good.
Hi, hello, am I on?
Hey, yeah, we can hear you, Cotton.
Hi,
Welcome
so
here.
I just have a question regarding Twin Tail. So since limit is like until end of turn, so if I play a Twin Tail, then Gecko, then play Twin Tail again, so does Twin Tail have the effect on my opponent's turn? Thank you.
The second Twin Tail won't activate, right?
Yeah, no, it won't. So the way limit works is cards that have the same name and the keyword limit will only activate that effect up to the limit specified. So only your first Twin Tail will have any effect, in which case.
All right. So I thought that if it already happened, it would reset. But since
No. It's the limit is on the number of times you can activate the effect.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Hope you all have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, and the final question is going to be, you're the lucky one. Hope it's a good one. Super Ween, come on down. You've been invited.
Oh.
If you're here, press the invite. You've been waiting a while. No, should be fine.
No.
I've seen Super Ween
I think it might
for a long time.
Okay.
I've got a question for Jasser. Jasser, which change are you most excited for?
Which change am I most excited for? How the meta develops regarding energy burst, like how the teams adapt to the energy burst. That's what I'm most excited for. Like even like the game felt a lot faster and like engaging to me. Like internally while we were testing, right? So yeah, excited to see how the whole meta develops around the energy burst.
What
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the pacing of the game together with the energy burst changes, the option for saving 1 energy to bump up that ramp a little bit, and together with the 45 seconds, it's really gonna kick everyone's brains in an overdrive, and hopefully make the game more exciting and engaging, and a little bit less calculated, you know. So definitely agree with you there. I think Super Ween jumped onto stage and then just disappeared. So I saw him for a little second there.
All right. Well, I promised one more question. We're getting one more question. You know what that means? We got
a lucky one.
Jale Joe _GZ. You get one question now.
Hey.
Oh, hello, Kaku friend.
Hello.
Welcome here, dude.
Thank you guys, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to a question. Basically, my question is, Oranda now is doing 5 dispels, yeah?
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a small buff.
Okay. What about Kuko? It's gonna be like how many times is gonna be dispelled by Oranda?
Interesting question. I think Kaku still counts as 1 buff, so Oranda might be able to dispel all the Kakus.
Okay, it's just because it's more than 1. It's gonna be a big.
Yeah. A lot detrimental for Kaku. Yep.
Yeah. But that was my main question, and I would like to ask you, if I can, if it would be possible to think about change the damage on Kuko to 85 as Therastes and Kingfisher does. I mean, it's a card that it can be very easy to dispel, and I think, I don't know, I guess it's my opinion, but I think it would be a big move and maybe you can see more Kuko teams in the meta or in the top.
Yeah.
It's a good consideration, and we can share it definitely with the design team. Some of them are actually listening to this chat as well, so you can yeah, definitely your words are reaching them.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys.
Some of those good questions like that actually inspired the team to go, oh yeah, did we overlook something? So
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and like easy stuff like that is something that can definitely just be like kind of shoot in if it's you know, well thought out.
Okay, now this is the last question, okay? Because Super Ween is back. I didn't want to rug him.
All right.
So Super Ween, get on up here and let's do this. Let's close it out.
Hello.
Hey, welcome on.
Hello, my friend.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Thanks, guys, for having me. I have some few concerns about feather descent. Because as you said earlier, if I'm correct, spears gain almost same amount of feathers, but does double damage. Am I correct?
The change to Feathered Dagger is that now the base attack has increased to 10 from 5, but then we've also added the ambush mechanic. So now previously you were only you were forced to target whichever opponent was closest to you, but now you have the option of targeting the furthest as well. And
because before, as the players can remember, that with the right amount of buffs, these feather daggers actually do a lot of damage. And now, what if the Axie, which uses feather descent, suddenly pops their, the feather gaining cards after playing most of the cards in their hand, which then makes a lot of room for those feather daggers. And what if those feather daggers deal more damage than they already?
Feather Descent was updated. It was in the previous slides. You could check them out in the view only or in the link that Jatster shared. But then just to run through it really quickly, it still provides you 2 feathers per turn. And on your turn, if you reach 10 feathers, you'll receive a total of 3 feather daggers and lose 3 feathers in the process. And on top of that, we've thrown in that the Axie with Feather Descent, their feather daggers will deal 2 hits.
Yeah, right. That's nice to know. Thank you. And if I may, I want to have a short response to Mr. Chuck, sir. I think sustain is still. I think sustain is still viable. So because Axie in general should be a counter. There should be a counter to each team, right? Which makes Origin sort of a RPS in a way, but with team comps instead of Axie class, like in V2, right? So besides, I think not all comps will be running death marks due to current state of comp diversities, and well, you can just add little utilize more cleanse or white sages and the shield cards, to somehow deal with the death marks. So I guess that's just my opinion, and thank you for having me.
That's a fair opinion to have, and I think we'll definitely see how it plays out.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, that concludes all. Oh, thank you. Sorry, I heard. Yep, we got your thank you at the end there. I cut you off. I think that concludes the Q&A. Let's do a quick closing thought because I think that's a good way to end this, but real quick. So Jatster, give a quick closing thought for us. It can be anything, something you're excited about, something you're working on. Let's just end with a closing thought.
Yeah, like as I mentioned earlier, like regarding the energy burst. So now, like previously, when you reached your second burst, that's when you drew your extra card, right? But now you get it after the first burst, and that extra card helps out so much in multiple of teams, like across all the archetypes. And there's a lot of key cards that after testing we felt like, okay, they're still good, but now there's a new way to play them. So what I'm most excited about is like seeing people and figure out like theorycraft and figure out those stuff. Like I want to see if like people can just theorycraft and figure those new things out. That's what I'm most excited about to see. What about you, Hill?
Awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just to chime in on what Jatster is saying, I think something that players will definitely be able to experience is like there's just this excitement of being able to kind of, for lack of better words, break the game. And a lot of these changes might seem small, but then definitely all it takes is someone to figure out something cool, and then that's all it takes to create like a new archetype or a new deck or a new strategy. And like with the whole idea of like infinite opportunities, that's definitely something we love to see. And sometimes players do tend to feel like we're kind of just laying out these breadcrumbs and kind of forcing you to play teams the way we expect you to, but it's really not the case. We're always thrilled to see the cool things that players figure out with these tools that we provide them, and ultimately it's really just identifying the different problems that we've experienced in the previous seasons and iterating on making the game feel better, play better, and be overall more enjoyable and balanced. So, as just to reiterate again, external testing in a week, hopefully, if everything goes well, and for as long as it's necessary. And you can expect more changes to come through, depending on what we see. And but that's it. So, just heed the disclaimer, be responsible. A lot of you are just going to ignore this anyway, but then the disclaimer's out there.
Yeah. Like even like internal testing is still going on, and by the time like the patch makes to production, in case like there's something we find that's not intended and could harm the like balance and meta, you might expect some changes. But yeah, let's see. Be careful.
Awesome. My closing thought, I mean, obviously there's a lot to take in terms of balance. I do what I always do. I just let all the expert and pros, the meat values out there and the spam and rices figure it out, and I just kind of replicate a little bit. But I think what I'm most excited for is, and this is definitely kind of a pitch to what's coming next, is the next town hall, which will be to talk about all the stuff we didn't talk about this time, which is, are we making AXS changes? How are we restructuring that? Are there going to be era changes? Are there going to be progression changes? Are there going to be crafting changes? If you want to hear all about the stuff that doesn't happen in battle, then make sure you join Cruz and I. We will be on Twitter with the date. We'll give you guys all the information on Twitter, so just be ready. But mark your calendar for somewhere about early-ish October. So that's when you guys can get all that information. I look forward to that. Of course, I look forward to all this balance stuff, see what happens. I hope we can open up new metas. I hope we can see more things work that we haven't seen with scaling or bleed or just things we didn't see last season. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone, for joining. As Jiho said, we hit over 1,000. That was super cool. All of this will be on YouTube. In case you missed it, tell your friends to watch it. Let's continue all these discussions on Twitter. Make sure you guys all tag Hale, of course, and just rip him about all your thoughts. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right,
thank
guys.
you, everybody.
Thanks for joining. This was Amazing Town Hall. Shout out to everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.